Hey y'all, it's Ashley Canott.
And I'm Blair Nodine, and we're Joy in the Junk.
The podcast where we bring our whole selves to the table.
Mess and all.
And find Jesus right in the middle of it.
We're two women seeking truth in Scripture, hope in the hard places, and joy that doesn't wash away when life gets muddy.
So pull up a chair, grab your coffee or sweet tea, and let's talk life, faith, and all the junk in between. Because with Jesus,
there's joy that lasts. It's Joy in the Junk. Welcome to the table. We're glad you're here.
Hey, friend.
Hey, girlie. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Very good. It's been a
minute.
Like it's been a while.
I know.
It's been a minute. You've been traveling.
I am really glad to be home. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Home is always good.
It is.
You know?
I did not want to get out of my own bed. I mean, you just forget how comfortable your own bed is. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's start off with some junk.
How about joy?
Joy.
It's okay. We start out with junk too. Either one you want to. But,
gosh.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not with it today. It's been a while.
I know. So listen.
Let's start out with joy.
Let me talk about my joy because, the reason I've got my phone in my hand, if you're watching, because I have to read the text messages. We're talking about friends, and you and I have talked about friends a lot.
Yeah.
And I always say I don't have any. And I'm going to back up when we get into our conversation. But my joy is I was gone. And I had been gone, I guess, 5 days. And Crystal texted, our Crystal. Mm-hmm. And she texted and she said, "When are you coming home?" And I'm inflecting that voice because I pray that was the voice she said. But when are you coming home? She said, "I miss you. And Miss Judy misses you too." Check one on friends caring about me. So I do get home. And on Wednesday mornings, we cook at church. We feed on Wednesday nights. Now, I don't cook, but they let me chop tomatoes and stuff. I'm there for the comic relief is what I'm there for.
You're there for the prep work.
There you go. Yeah, they don't let me do much though. But so anyway, I walked in and the first words out of Becky's mouth, "My friend, you're home." Check two. Then this morning, if that doesn't add, there is a bug. If I needed any more confirmation, Allison, a friend that I haven't seen in ages, not ages. And she said, I typed this so I could have it. It said, "Good morning, my sweet friend. I want to say I love you and the Lord placed you on my heart on my drive to school. May you have the absolute bestest day ever." Come on.
Don't you love those texts?
I do. And it really, driving home from Greensboro, I really did have these thoughts about friendships and things like that. And I'll get into it when I do. But those people caring enough to send a text.
Yeah.
Oh, and Judy, to tell one more, this sounds like I'm bragging on me, but it really did make me feel good. She texted and she said, "I am so excited about tomorrow." I said, "Well, what's happening? You didn't let me know." She said, "You're coming home." Come on. I know. Melted my butter.
People love you.
Well, I was pretty tickled.
Yeah.
But it's just how God lines it up for us, what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you tell me your joy.
Well, and mine kind of goes around with friends too. Because like my friend, one of my best friends, she has a family that lives in Texas. She's from Texas originally. And so her mom and dad and brother and sister-in-law, they all came to South Carolina to hang out. And we've always wanted to get like just our parents together and just our moms, right, and just like us and our moms and just like hang out and eat dinner, And so since they were here, we met last night at one of my other best friends, her restaurant, and shout out to Jeannie's Kitchen. And we just hung out like in the back room and ate and talked. And we took the cutest picture of like our moms and us. And just sitting there, it was just like, it was
that's
such
a big deal.
It was just so fun, because that's something they get to kind of see, like how we interact and the dynamic of us four together because we're crazy, And so it was a lot of fun. It was like, I had to take a migraine pill to be able to function last night, but
I know your migraines. We've got to pray your migraines away.
But it was still just such a nice evening, just hanging out.
Does Amanda's mom live here?
They live in Texas.
Okay, you just said that. Sorry.
No, and they
Can you tell I didn't pay attention?
She flies out there a lot.
Yeah.
But they don't come here very often.
Right.
So, but their son's graduating high school this year, and tonight's like senior night.
Oh, gotcha.
And he plays football. So
he got homecoming king, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So it's like a big deal. So they're coming to like hang out. And I just thought that was really like a fun thing to get to meet her and their family because, she's like one of my best friends. So
I was
going to
say the four of y'all to see all y'all together.
And
that is a family
mom
affair.
And one of my other best friend's mom, like they started talking. They're like, "Oh, we need to go get dinner together one night." And I was like, That's
pretty
so cool. You know, so like even just, you just see like how friendships kind of like bud off of different other people. You know what I mean? Like I may meet somebody through you and then we make a connection. And
Right.
you know, so it's really cool. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that about
That's
friendship.
kind of neat about y'all, all of you though.
Yeah, so
Because
we
you
took a
four
cute
are like
picture.
glue.
We took a cute picture. So
That's
it was
neat.
fun. Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. So
You want to talk about friends? Which you're
friends.
and I, you know, and we've talked about friends a lot. We really have talked about it a lot.
About it like on air.
Exactly. But your friendships, and I guess that's the thing, the four of y'all, I mean, it never fails. Y'all always have a good time. Always.
Yeah.
And I even see and I remember, didn't y'all do something 4th of July?
We did. We all got together at my house.
And all
like
the children and everything. I mean, y'all did all the kids and everything.
And normally we don't do that, but we've tried to make it a point to kind of, you know, get our husbands together. Right. Like we've done some things with our husbands.
Well, that paint thing y'all did was ridiculous.
That was fun. And just get the kids together, because some of them have older kids, some of us have younger kids, but just, you know, building those relationships and with all of
well,
our
I think the
families
children
really cool.
see how that goes. But the conversations that we've had, I always said that, you know, ever since, and we'll talk about Donna a lot today because she was the best friend I ever had. But ever since I lost her, what I've recognized driving home from Greensboro, which is how God works, is I'm comparing every friendship I have to the one I have with her.
Right. And you can't do that.
I can't do that. First of all, it's not fair to the person that I'm friends with, nor is it even fair to me. Do you know what I mean? It even kind of put me in a hole. So I thought that's what I've been doing. Because friendships, you know, to me, friendship is loyalty.
It is. Yeah.
Friendship is, and I was going to ask Keith about this before I came on the air because I didn't know if I should even say it, but I wrote it in my notes. This is not a political anything, but seeing Chuck Wright's interview, Trey Gowdy's right there with him. Now I know Trey Gowdy's, I know who he is. Yeah. I know his what he does. I know what he stands for. And he is standing next to Chuck Wright through thick and thin.
Well, but I also think that it's a good reminder. And I think this is what you're trying to get out of it. You're using that as an example, but we have to stick by our friends even when they don't look good, you know? And that's a good reminder because I mean, I would hope that, you know, I made a statement one day and I was thinking, like, just talking in general, we were having a discussion. I don't even remember who it was with, but I said, I hope that if I'm ever in a situation to where and I hope I'm never in, I don't plan on it, but you know, I would hope that people would know who I was and not, if I have a failure, that they don't automatically say, I'm writing her off, I'm done with her, that my friends would say, we're here to lift you up and encourage you and be there for you. And
you'd be surprised the ones that don't.
They don't. They really don't. And I can say that from my own life because I know there's been a lot of people in my own life that said, I will be with you through thick and thin. I'm your ride or die. I love you. We're thick as thieves, you know, and that's probably not a good expression, but at the end of the day, I don't have a relationship with them anymore over maybe a small misunderstanding or we just kind of.
Or look at divorce. When people get divorced, one friend, you pick a friend in that. But with mine, to use mine as an example, Sue and Jenny stuck by me when I got arrested and then went and everything. I mean, Sue came to see me. She came to visit. But there are a lot of people that I was friends with, I'd say, and they were no more because of my 15 minutes of fame or my 2-year cruise, whatever you want to call it. But I know what it's like not to have. And so maybe that's why I've looked at relationships so differently because I've seen so many people run. Now, understand something too. I've driven people away. Yeah. You know, I can drive people away because I'm not near as needy as I was, but I can still.
And I have to, you know, the Lord spoke to me a long time ago and was like, Ash, because I had being in the ministry is a very lonely position when I was in the ministry. And
I was a pastor's wife.
As pastor's wife. Yes. And I can remember being very lonely and feeling like I had no friends. I had people around me and I had people that I knew loved me. But they wanted to get to know me, but I felt like it was, you only want to get to know me because I'm the pastor's wife. You don't really care about me. And maybe I was jaded at a point. I don't know, but there was a lot of things
going on. And your friends really couldn't be in the church because you really couldn't.
It was hard. It was hard because you never wanted to show favoritism or things like that, being in the ministry or whatever. But I just remember that being a very lonely position. And then after coming out of that And I remember the Lord vaguely, I just would pray all the time. I'm like, Lord, send me good friends, send me friends. And he said, if you want to have friends, you have to be a friend.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because my pastor actually preached a message about friendship this past week, which is so insane that we were going to be talking about it. But he was
my pastor used to say that if you want a friend, you got to be one.
And he was relating it back to our Heavenly Father and saying, you know, you want God to be a friend to you, but you're not willing to be a friend to God. But and I tell my friends all the time, like, I'm not a good friend. I will forget to text you and check on you sometimes, you know, but in the grand scheme of life, we know each other's weaknesses. We know each other's strengths. You know, I get on their nerves. They get on my nerves. You know, they say, Ashley, you're the loud one. And I'm like, I just embrace it.
It just came to my mind. And I certainly don't, you will never lose your blessing on this. But I remember the situation with Amanda, and you sent all of us that text message if we wanted to help. Remember, do something.
Yes.
And you know, you might drop the ball here or there on a text message or whatever else. But when the rubber meets the road, there was a need that Amanda had, and you didn't just take it for yourself, because you could have handled that. You could have handled that yourself.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you sent it so we could all be included in that blessing too. And I think that's the one thing I recognize. That's what friendship looks like.
That does.
You don't have to have all the glory for yourself.
That's
you could have just handed it to her and been done, but you allowed all of us to be a part of it too. And I think
too, and I'm not saying this, and I don't want it to come across as I'm bragging on myself, but I was scrolling Facebook the other night, and I have somebody that goes to church with me, and they're in a ministry role, and they put something on Facebook about I don't want to call them out because I don't want them to feel like I'm like, you know, pointing, but because I know they do listen to the podcast. But they had put on Facebook that, check on your teacher friends, send them a coffee, da 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 da. And when I seen that, I immediately went to immediately went to the Starbucks app and sent them a gift card for coffee. And they were like, send your friend a coffee, because your teacher friends, because it's rough out here. And I wasn't looking for them to think that, I did something great. It was just, I wanted to give them just a little nugget of like,
well, I think that's the thing. I think
I see you. I love you, and I appreciate you and what you do. And we may not be like bestest of friends, but I appreciate you and I love you. And I think that's where friendship comes in, and where it blossoms and it grows is when you see a need in somebody's life and you go, they have a need. And whether it's a huge need where they need a plane ticket to get to Texas, or they just need a coffee, and I can spend $20 on junk food, you know, or going out to eat for myself, but it just blesses somebody else.
Well, and I think, and I think where I'm going with all that on the friendship part is we had talked about it as there's seasons of friendship. I think we have are friends forever, or some just for a season.
I think you have some that are just for seasons. I do too, for sure.
Some that, and even the hard ones can be. Listen, there is someone that was in my life, and I did everything possible. And this is like Paul and Barnabas. You know, they had, because of John Mark, there was a time where, you know what, they had to separate.
Right.
It doesn't mean that they hated each other, but sometimes you can't be with everybody. You cannot be friends with everybody.
No,
I can't, because it's not healthy for me.
Well, and I've always also learned too, as an adult, that because I have this need that everybody needs to like me, and I know everybody's not going to like me, and let's just be real. But I have that inner desire that I want everybody to go, she's sweet, she's nice, I like her. But if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong.
Our pastor talked about that Wednesday night.
Oh, see, I mean, it's just, I feel like if everybody likes you and everybody thinks you're just the bee's knees, then you're pleasing everybody else.
Well, let's take it back even a step further. Why am I concerned that everybody likes me? Do you see what I'm saying? That is an inflection on me, and almost to my arrogance. I mean, do you know what I mean? That's almost a self-centeredness or an arrogance about it. So that's where I'm trying to make that shift. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to lie to you. When they texted me or somebody called or whatever, I miss you. And it's not an ego thing. That is strictly God letting people love you.
Yeah.
And that is showing God's love too.
Yes.
And I think that's where I'm having to retrain my brain, because I have focused for and it's been what year is this? 2025. I've been home for, 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
I need to be over that.
But also you have to remember that you've said, I need to feel needed. I need to feel wanted. And the enemy knows that. So he puts those, thoughts in your head of, you don't have any friends.
You don't have any friends.
You don't got no friends because somebody hasn't texted you or somebody hasn't reached out to you.
Or they don't respond to your text.
Or they don't respond to your text or whatever it may be. And that's a good reminder you got to take those thoughts captive and go, listen, that is not of God. And I'm going to move on from that. And I'm sitting here acting like I got it figured out. I don't, because I'm the same way. Like I get upset if I don't feel like I'm appreciated, or, I get sad if I feel like, well, I don't ever hear from them anymore. Or, I don't.
But I've also found, thinking the way I did, I'm very comfortable alone now.
Yeah, me too. I'm introverted by nature. So.
Well, and see, I'm not, because I do. It was dinner Wednesday night, and we have this committee, which I'll talk about later, and I had spoken to Fred and said something to him about it. And I said flat out, I'm an overachiever. Do you know what I mean? I jump in with both feet.
Me too.
And I'm just all in,
yep.
And sometimes they just need you to sit there. But no, I jump in and, let's do this, 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 and this. And that's where I've got to learn to rear it back. Yeah. And that's because part of the reason I drive people away.
Do you think that people are intimidated by overachievers and like they look at them as like, I don't want to get to know them because I feel like I struggle because I feel like the people that don't like me because I'm loud and I'm who I am unapologetically, and I'm an overachiever. I'm always a go-getter, and some people take offense to that.
Well, some people, and I think,
or maybe not offense. I don't know the word I'm looking for.
Well, and you don't want to say this about yourself, but I can say it. And people will be intimidated. People can be intimidated for your success. People by your success. People can be intimidated by the way you carry yourself.
Yeah.
Do some people see, they see, well, I can't be that. I can't be that. So they just back off and they don't approach you or whatever else. And I'm certainly not tooting anybody's horn, but people are intimidated by other people. And us loudmouths, I mean, we do chase people off sometimes.
Yeah, because especially if somebody doesn't like somebody that's loud or likes to just yap a lot, which I do. But
well, and I'm trying to I'm working on that too.
I'm working on it too. I'm working on like remembering that I don't always have to say things or be in a conversation, because sometimes I like to be in conversations and I'm okay sometimes with just, not.
I'm trying to learn to listen better. I'm trying to learn to listen better.
Because that's a good friend when you can just listen. But I kind of took a different approach when I was kind of just preparing for today, because I really focused on like, I don't want to say I focused on the negative, but like on what we shouldn't look for in friends, or what we have to be careful about when it comes to our friends. Because I think sometimes we pick, scripture says bad company corrupts good character.
I wrote that one down too.
And then if you hang around with the wise, you'll be wise. If you hang around with fools, you're gonna get in trouble. And so I kept going back to that, because that was some stuff, honestly, because I've just been reading about that a little bit and studying it in my own personal time, just because that's something that the Lord has put in front of me, is that you have to be careful who you surround yourself with. And there's a lot of people that under the banner of Christ are good people, but they're not good for you.
They're not healthy. And I said that a minute ago. There are some people that are just not healthy for me.
Yeah.
They're just not healthy. And and that's okay.
Yep.
I can still love them.
Yep.
I just have to love them from a distance.
That's right. Yeah. And two, the thing that, because under the banner of Christ, there's a large spectrum, of people that, there's people that say they're Christians, but we don't necessarily maybe have the same viewpoints or the same way of thinking, and they don't think the same way that I think. And sometimes you get those two people together and there's conflict in the body, and there need not be. There should never be conflict among the brethren, but there is. And we see that so many times, like in Paul's letters.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, we should all we should be getting letters now. We need people to be writing some letters.
For sure.
to some people sometimes. But I feel like we take for granted that somebody, when we're looking for friends, the first place we go is I want to find my friends from church. Well, then just because somebody goes to church with you, or, they're in the same, Bible study or whatever, doesn't mean they're necessarily good for you.
Right.
And that sounds bad, but you have to be so careful who you align yourself with.
And I think that comes when, and we've talked about it before, I think there's discernment. You get a check, and I wanted to ask that question lines up with it. What's the junk you've had to face in friendship? Comparison, jealousy, unmet expectations. And I think that's where you're kind of talking the negative part of it.
Yeah.
Because have you ever had somebody in your life that was jealous of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing healthy about jealousy, first of all. And then the unmet expectations. I don't have expectations of our friendship, Ashley. I don't put any expectations on you. Meaning, I expect you, if I call or we have a conversation, I expect your honesty.
Right.
Or I expect you to correct me or settle me down when I'm whatever. And Donna used to pinch my elbow because bipolar Blair gets kind of, rambunctious sometimes.
Right.
And she would pinch my elbow. Now, when she pinched my elbow, I never took offense because she did it because she loved me.
Right.
She corrected me because she loved me.
It's like before we went on air, you were like, hold on, you're getting we were talking about a subject.
Yeah.
And I talk loud.
Yeah.
Just by default, because my mom is deaf and she can't hear. So I talk loud. So I've grown up talking loud all my life. And I was just passionate about what I was talking about. But you were like, you sound like you're coming for them,
Yeah.
And I don't mean it to come across that way, but I just get fired up
when
I'm talking sometimes, and I don't mean it to sound like I'm being mean or I'm harsh or I'm upset, because you thought the tone was I was upset,
right,
when I wasn't,
right.
But that tone is so important. It's just like I can laugh with my best. I know who I can laugh and joke with, and we're still gonna be friends.
Yeah.
And the people that I've learned that you don't laugh and joke with them, you don't, right. You can't. I mean, I know I can with my little group of best friends. I can pick at them and go on, and they can do the same for me.
And it's okay. Well, and me saying that to you, I didn't make you defensive.
No,
not at all. I didn't make
you made me recognize and go, whoa, take a step back, Ashley.
But that's what friendship.
Think of how you sound, because we don't realize what we sound like and how we look sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't see that in ourselves. We see it in other people, but we don't see it in ourselves. So it was a good check and balance for me to go.
I think too.
Okay, let me sit back in my seat and chill out a little.
But I'm going with that is too. You knew where I was coming at a place of love. I wasn't coming at a place of aggression. I've had many of people correct me, and it was for me. If the heart's not pure, your correction is just out of spite. Right. It's just it's you pushing me down to make yourself go up one. I think that's where I
well, and we live in such a selfish society too, that friendship is all about me.
What can they give me?
What can they give me? What can they do for me? What can I get out of being a friend? When friendship is, it's almost like a marriage, to a certain extent. You got to give 100% in a friendship, and they got to give 100%. So when the other is lacking a little bit,
and when I'm down, and that's the thing too, say I'm in a low place. And I was, if you remember a couple of weeks back, I was in a bad spot, was kind of worried about doing the podcast because I was in one of my little seasons, and you said, nope, it'll be fine or whatever. But I wasn't giving 100%. I didn't have 100% to give.
Right.
But you made up the slack. So you did the 150. Now that can't last all the time. I gave everything I had, and you didn't mind stepping in. That's what friendship looks like.
That's right.
But then when you have friends that are wanting something from that, and if you can't give it, they're just going to move on to the next person.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's what I saw for so long. Yeah. And I think that's why I put myself in that category.
And how do you handle it when there comes the point when you're like, and I don't think I gave you this question, but it just popped in my head, but like, how do you handle it when you know that you need to walk away from somebody? Like, this is the season. I struggle with that because I feel like, before you answer, I feel like I have a hard time walking away from people, because I have had people walk away from me in life in general. Yeah. Or let me down. And so I don't want to ever let anybody down, which I do all the time.
And we all do.
I'm the queen of letdown a lot of times because I try to do too much. But I've seen in instances where the Lord has spoken to me clearly and said, back away,
Mhm.
move away from this friendship, leave it alone because it's not healthy for you and they cannot go where you need to go next.
Well, mine, and saying that because I'm thinking of one person right now, there was nothing I could do to please them.
Yeah.
There was nothing, I could not find a common ground. And, whether the word was petty, I don't know what kind, I don't know how to describe, because I don't want to be negative with the person because I love the person, but I just can't be around the person
Right.
because all it did was push me down, down, down.
Yeah.
And I was physically not healthy from it. And then it started affecting my other relationships.
Mhm.
Well, if this person thinks of me this way, then so does this, to the point where I even came to Noda and I said, what am I doing wrong? He said, nothing. You have got to walk away. God's told you over and over, walk away.
Yeah.
And I did. And do I have regrets once in a while? Well, yeah, I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Especially when she's needed something.
Right.
But if God made me move away, then it's what he wants me to do, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
But you're right. But that guilt, that's the enemy dumping that guilt on us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah,
Because I can't be all things to all people.
No. We try to be.
How many times have you told me that?
Yeah, and I tell myself that a lot too. And my husband has to remind me about it because he doesn't have a problem telling people no. I have a hard time telling people no, especially when it comes to ministry stuff, because I never want to turn down an opportunity to teach or speak or whatever, if I feel like that's what the Lord wants me to do. And I feel like he gives us those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never want to turn them down unless it's, something from a doctrinal issue or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But like, I struggle with telling people no, and that can get you in trouble.
Well, and what I do is I'm taking the spot I have done in ministry before. When I was at Motlow, there was a ministry that didn't have a leader. Well, of course. Okay, then I need to do it. No, what you do is that's not your call, Blair. So you just don't let them have one. And then somebody will recognize you just don't have that ministry.
Right.
Well, who does that?
Yeah.
Well, obviously that was what we're supposed to do. So I served in that position. I'd soon have my teeth pulled.
Yeah.
There was no blessing to be had from it because all I did was whine and mope and complain.
Right.
It was not where I was supposed to be.
And I've been there like teaching a class that, and was it a blessing for me when I was teaching it? Yes. I loved it. But I knew it wasn't where the Lord wanted me to be. Mm-hmm. And I don't like giving anything up because I'm not a quitter. Yeah. I don't like quitting something or feeling like
that right there. Friendship, the word quitter.
Yeah.
When you don't do something, doesn't mean you're a quitter.
That's right.
And with relationships, well, I was reading about our Sunday school lessons on divorce, and it was talking about, everybody was asking for permission to get divorced. That's quitting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get in that subject either, but because I am a poster child for that too. But it's the kind of thing where we want permission to quit something. Mm-hmm. And sometimes God wants us to give it up. It's not a quitting kind of thing. And I think the two are so different.
That's
and
true.
We have to be so careful.
No, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
For sure. But it was hard for me because I knew that's not where God wanted me. But somebody, when they came to me and said, the Lord's laid you on my heart to teach it, I didn't want to say
he didn't lay it on mine.
No, he didn't. He didn't lay it on my heart, and not that I took it because I know there was a need there.
Right.
And I knew there was a need for it, and there still is a need, but I just know that that's not where God called me.
But isn't that friendships can take advantage of people when you have, and maybe acquaintances, but there are friendships, if you're not careful, you can take advantage of friendships.
For sure.
I mean, we have to, that's something that you have to stay. I mean, I have to stay on top of that. I don't ever want to take advantage of someone because they've allowed me in their life.
And it's easy too. Like, it would be easy for, I know I went to my friend's restaurant last night. She wouldn't let us pay. And I'm like, let me pay for my food, like let us pay. Nope. I'm not letting you pay. I'm not letting you pay. No,
but don't you think last night was a friend thing, not a business thing?
It was totally, but like, even still,
you wanted to.
It's like I didn't want her to think that I'm coming. We came here so you would let us have our meal for free because that was not the case.
She would never think that.
But at the same time, it's like you don't ever want to put somebody out.
Right. Right.
Because that's my thing is I never want to put somebody out.
I don't
ever want anybody to be like, she's a burden to me. Ashley's such a burden.
See, that's my fear. the word burden and Blair in the same sentence scares me to death. I never want to be a burden. But I watched that with Dad and Julia when I went home to Greensboro to help them for a minute. And Dad did, he wanted me there. He loved having me there. Julia was thrilled that I was there. It wasn't that, but it's almost like when I am there, I don't want to be a burden to them, which I wasn't, but that word burden does come up in conversation. And I don't ever want to be a burden to somebody.
Yeah.
When I get older, even, Crystal said, don't worry, I'm just going to put you in a she shed in the backyard and you'll be fine. But you don't want to be a burden to your children even.
No. Yeah, for sure.
Where that came from, but.
Well, this is a verse that from Hebrews and chapter 10, and it says, let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. And then it goes on to say in the next verse, and let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works. And then it goes on to say, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves. But there was one translation that I loved, the NIV translation. That was King James, but NIV translation says, let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, encouraging one another. And I loved that, like spurring one another, because I immediately thought of a cowboy with spurs, and he's like kicking that horse and he's getting him riled up, and that's how I want to be around people that rile me up in the faith and encourage me in the faith. Because if somebody, this is just my thought process when it comes to friends. If my friends are ever pulling me, or anyone is ever pulling me away from God and not to God, then it's time for me to reevaluate that friendship and go. And same for me. I would hope that if somebody was saying, Ashley, you're not drawing me toward the Lord, you're drawing me away from him, I need to reevaluate my life and go, okay, well, what am I doing? I don't. So I'm always conscious of that, because
that's a really good point.
I don't want anybody to ever look at me and go, she ain't spurring me up in the faith.
And I don't want to cause anybody to stumble either. And I don't want, and see, that all comes back to the joy of the Lord that we talk about every single podcast. That's what we have, is the joy of the Lord. And I want to be an encouragement to someone else, whether it's through my tears, whether it's through my testimony, whether it's through.
For sure. And I think we both have that same goal. Yeah, for sure.
But I would never, and I would really hold you to that. Don't ever let me be the one to pull. I don't want to pull somebody down.
Yeah. You pull me down so much, Blair, for sure. Yeah.
But but I do know there are those moments where I can get so frustrated about a situation and I start yapping my mouth.
Well, that's me. Listen. And I'm very quick to I have to remind myself that not everybody needs to know your opinion, Ashley, and it can get, it's easier when you're sitting, when you're sitting behind a microphone, it's easier to it's easy to spout your opinion because you think people want to hear it. No, they don't. And I don't ever want to always just give my opinion. I want to give God's truth. And sometimes I say some hard stuff. Like I look back at, sometimes I look back at the devotions I write and I'm like, Ashley, really? Did you just say that? Like, you're going to make somebody mad. But I have to go, well, it's the truth. Like it's coming from a place of love and from a place of truth. But, because like last night I was reading, I don't know if you've ever read in Judges 19, which is, it's tough.
I saw your post.
It's tough, man. Like some of the stuff that's going on in there, you read it and you go, oh my word. Like, are we kidding here?
Agreed.
But we see it every day in the news. But in the same sense, it's like.
And why do we see it? We read it in the Bible and it shocks us. We think, oh my gosh, how did this? And then you turn on the news and it's the same thing, but we're not. Yeah. But we're almost.
But it all started with one guy. It started with Micah.
Oh.
And I sit and go, and the Lord pricked my heart and said, do not be Micah. Do not let something like this start with you, Ashley. Do not let something that's so evil start with one little thing.
And it can.
Yeah. And I don't want to be that friend that somebody goes,
you're not going to believe what she did.
It all started with this right here. And it snowballed into this. And it goes back to just not even friendship, but it's our kids and our spouses. And
it comes back to choice. What it comes back to is the heart.
Oh, yeah.
It comes back to the heart. But the choices I make, or if I say something, listen, if I say something that's not right, I want to correct it.
Me too.
Yeah. I want to correct it. And will it bother me a little bit? Oh, of course it does. That's called pride. I mean,
we know what happens with pride, though,
exactly.
you know?
It comes before the fall. But I think the biggest thing with me is I want to be that encouragement and talk about spurring people on. I find no greater joy than helping somebody to feel better about something.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I do. I love it. I love when Krista Michelle calls me and says, help me with this. I can't get this, or help me with this scripture. I don't know. There's no greater joy than,
Or when somebody calls you and says, pray for me.
And that's
like, I take that
real
they have
seriously.
confidence in me that,
It's a
we had
privilege and an
a
honor.
listener that, reached out to me this past week and, needed prayer. And it was literally, I was like, well, instead of saying, I'm going to pray for you. No, I literally sat right there and I typed the prayer out because I wanted her to see it and I wanted her to recognize it. I wanted her to have the scripture and the words from God that, you know what, you don't have to worry about this. Right. God's got it under control.
2 weeks ago, Chris had preached. Pastor and Jean were out of town. And so our youth pastor had preached. And Chris said, are you a praying person or a person who prays? I'm a praying person.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? And if you really think about that, and, and that's what, I had texted somebody for prayer or whatever else. And we pray right then. You do it right then. Because I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you I'm going to pray for you and then forget to do it.
Because how many times have we said, I'll pray for you, and then you get busy with life and you forget about it, and then you come back later the next week and you go, especially like in Sunday school or something like that when they do prayer requests, and you're like, oh, I need to write that down and pray for them, and then or something comes up and you forget about it, and then the next week you go, oh, I have not mentioned their name before the Lord this week at all because I completely forgot about it. And it breaks your heart. It crushes your spirit, And I always try to be mindful of that, it's others before myself.
Right.
Joy. A lot of times. Yeah.
Jesus, others, and yourself.
For sure. Talking
about that, I'm going to give you, this is a sweet story, so I'm just going to tell it. Denise, who was a friend of mine, she was supposed to have this eye surgery. So I was out of town, but I had prayed for her. She was in my phone reminder because it was a big time eye surgery. I had fervently prayed and everything else, but I didn't text her and let her know. Then it didn't matter, but it didn't, it didn't. But so I get back from Greensboro and it was Wednesday. We were doing the meal and everything else. And I went and I saw her and it hit me and I felt like such a failure. I had prayed for her, but I didn't text her and tell her I was praying for her. So then she tells me the story. Well, I'm so focused on me messing up that I don't hear her story, just like a minute ago that I didn't hear about her coming from Texas. You said it. I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
My bad, but I confessed it. Anyway, so Denise looks at me and said, Blair, listen, it was healed. She didn't have to have the surgery. She was healed before. And ready for this, there's a visual. I mean, I still get the goosebumps. I mean, I started telling people, of course, everybody in the church knew but me because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But you could see where it was wide open on the eye and then it had closed up and they did a scan right before.
I love it.
So she didn't have to have the surgery.
Love it.
That is how good God is. Now, did I take all the credit for that prayer for a second? But that was just joking. Just joking, Denise. I did it.
I did it.
But jokingly, I said, just being silly. But I was so overtaken that, you know what? God hears our prayers.
He does.
God heals.
And he still performs
and
miracles.
He still performs miracles.
He's still performing miracles.
So when people just.
And we don't talk about them.
Exactly.
People don't talk about the miracles.
Well, by golly, I've talked about this one to the point where after church, I ran over to hug her again because I'm still so excited. Yesterday at Bible study I did.
Yeah.
But I grabbed her son. I said, your mom. He said, I know, Blair. I mean, but I was so excited. It's nice when you can brag on, we brag on him all the time, but it's those miracles that you see happen.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I'm
glad I got that story on here.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you got to say that. But, to just kind of sum it up, and maybe we can come back to this, later too, because I know there's a lot that we can talk about with friendship and we can dig into it more later. So if somebody has like some things they would like us to talk about, they can let us know. But it's just, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And it's so important that we are careful with who we align ourselves with. And
we can make encouragement, but the people we line ourselves up are the ones that have to line up with the Lord.
That's right. Yeah. And we got to line up with the Lord too.
Exactly.
All right. This junk.
Oh, y'all listen. I can't wait to tell everybody. Y'all are not Rick Lance. You're going to be so excited. Ashley is eating pickled okra.
I'm done with y'all.
Listen, and Margaret, thank you so much for bringing it to me at church Wednesday night. I was so excited. Keith's excited even. Ashley's.
Well, I'm not.
Extra
and I'm not. I'm taking the junk that I had as my junk this week. I'm making this my junk because I'm very upset about doing this. Like, not real technically really upset, but
you weren't real happy when I told you on the phone. I'm
not really happy about the fact that, I mean, look at it. It's disgusting. Who eats pickled okra? I do not understand this. I do not, and it smells rancid. But I'm gonna eat a little bit.
Keith's over here cackling quietly.
I mean, it don't even look good. It looks like it's got.
This is terrible. I'm not taking a picture.
It's got stuff growing on it, like
it does not have
fur. You know, okra's got fur on it. You do know that, right?
Okay, stop. Now you're grossing me out. I'm not eating it. I really am taking a picture though. This is so funny.
I mean, do you eat the top part or the bottom part? I'm cutting. I'm gonna cut.
I eat the top part.
Gosh. Okay. I'm eating a little piece. I'm not eating a lot because I can't do it. I can't. I can't.
You can.
Can I hold my nose?
Can't, never could. Watch your Keith. Look at you. It's not that bad, is it? Look at you. You're not dying. See?
It's got a little kick to it, a little spice
to
it.
But you're eating it and not dying.
I'm going to be honest. It's kind of like a pickle. Consistency, maybe a little bit like not as crunchy as a pickle, but
Keith doesn't want you to like it because he wants the jar.
I mean, you can have the jar, keep it. I mean, I'm not going to, want to keep them or anything like that. No offense, Margaret, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not something I would want to eat all the time. I would rather have fried burnt okra than pickled okra. But that's my junk for this week because I ate it for y'all.
But look at that. The anticipation. See, the problem was the anticipation. It wasn't.
Isn't that how it is in life, though? A lot of times we anticipate things that are going to be a lot worse than they are. And
even
really
with
not.
Friendships, when you have corrections with friendship, I didn't even get to tell a story where I was so wrong. We'll have to talk about it another time. But I was so wrong in a situation. And I didn't recognize it at the time. I just didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
But then I sensed something was going on. So I contacted her. And sure enough, I had literally been horrible. So, with those friendships and making excuses, you could have made 100 excuses. I've got a sore throat. I've got an ulcer in my mouth. I mean, you could have thought of everything.
I've tried every excuse in the book.
Sometimes you just have to face it, go head on.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. My junk is having to sit back and watch others goof. I've had to sit back and watch. And it's not my place to jump in. I'm proud of myself for not jumping in.
Yeah.
But I have watched people and the only reason I know they're goofing is because it's scriptural. It's not it's not my opinion. It's scriptural. And they are allowing things to overwhelm them and overtake them instead of taking that step back.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We want to be things to all people, don't we? I mean, we really do.
Yeah.
I want to fix it.
There was an instance today where somebody made a comment on Facebook and I really wanted to jump in and be like, amen. I had it topped out and I was like, I could say so much, but I'm not going to say anything but this. And it was in relation to some, social, like political stuff going on. And I had to remind myself, Ashley, shut up. And I deleted it all and I kept on scrolling.
Good for you.
Because it would have been easy for me to validate her because what she said was true. Mm-hmm. There was validation to it. But sometimes we feel like we have to validate people and make them feel better. And we don't. And make them feel good about what they said, And
that goes into friendship. I don't need you to validate especially if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Now if I need encouragement, say I'm going to post something or whatever, and I send you to read it first. And I need correction. Yeah. And I'm leaning out and asking for it.
Right.
And I want you to be honest. And if it's, Blair, that's not something you need to do. That's what friendship looks like.
That's right.
Now, when we go and that doom scroll, yeah, I've done that. It's not my calling. It's not my rodeo. And I need to remember that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, well, I'm glad we got to talk about friends.
Me too.
And speaking of friends, a good little segue into our buddy Keith, who lets us come and hang out with him and record in his studio. Y'all go and make sure that you're following like Freedom's Fence Line and the Get to Step In podcast. They talk about all kind of like cultural and social, some political stuff too, but it's all with under the banner of Jesus and with faith being the anchor of everything that they talk about. And it's and I'm just thankful that we get to be a little part,
A little snippet.
just a little piece of under the Freedom's Fence Line banner. So y'all go check them out. And yeah, so we'll see them next time, right? We'll hang out with them next time.
We'll be here.
All right. Love y'all big.
Okay. Praying Jesus is your joy.